Hey, I want you to imagine this story, all right? Imagine that you're back at home, your favorite childhood home that you ever were in, and you wake up one morning to just the smell of fresh cinnamon rolls, smell of eggs and sausage cooking, or if you're keto or vegan or vegetarian, you can insert something else instead of coffee. Maybe it's kombucha. But just imagine all your favorite smells, all your favorite breakfast food, and it's your mom in the kitchen, and it's at her peak. She's healthy, wearing her cute apron, and she's just cooking up all your favorites just for you. And you come down the stairs and you go in and you just see the whole table set up beautifully and all the food's ready just for you. Your mom has this beautifully sweet smile on her face, and you walk right up to her and you just spit a huge loogie right in her face. And she looks back at you, and as she picks up her apron to wipe it off of her face, you see tears start to come, and just this incredible look of sadness and disappointment come over her face. That's a hard story. I've read that once, and it's always stuck with me and haunted me ever since. And it's actually the most powerful picture I've ever heard of the idea I want to talk to you for a minute about. Really unpopular idea in our culture right now, but it's the idea of sin. And I want to help you think about it differently. I think we get it wrong so many times because we start to view sin as just breaking the rules, and we don't view it as breaking a relationship. And I want you to have a relational view of it. I'm talking this week about what I call the story of everything. How you can sum up the whole story of the universe and of us and of our reason for being here. And the story of everything has four main parts to it: creation, fall, redemption, restoration. And today we're talking about the fall part of this. So yesterday I talked about creation, that God created the world and however he did it and however long it took him. And he said it was good, and for him good didn't mean like for us, good just means like good, like average, right? But good meant everything is exactly as it's meant to be. But then sin enters the world and crashes all that and kind of messes everything up. Now that's not a popular word right now. Kind of the only time you hear the word sin outside of church, it's used in joking ways, right? We talk about, going to Sin City. I've seen commercials where they say this chocolate is sinfully delicious. I saw a billboard for a casino once here in San Diego. It said, "Hey, come sin for the weekend." And you even watch movies that make you kind of root for people to commit adultery or kind of have violence and stuff. But I mean, let's talk about the real version of sin, right? We see it, man. I mean, we've already seen it this week, this month, some terrible ways: violence, racism, broken families, human trafficking, poverty, right? All these world problems that just overwhelm us and depress us at time. And listen, this isn't just because somebody, accidentally cussed a little bit too much, ate a little too much dessert, kind of broke one of God's kind of old-fashioned rules. We got to stop seeing sin that way. It's not about just like breaking the rules that the principal posted up for good behavior. Remember, God is the one who designed the human experience, and he gave us the guidelines on how it's meant to be lived and experienced. Guidelines like honoring all people equally. Guidelines around love, sharing, compassion, rest, and we just keep choosing to break that. And so sin isn't just breaking a rule, it's breaking like relationship with our designer, our author of who we are and what life is like to be, is meant to be. And maybe you're wondering, okay, well, so why did God even allow sin to enter in the world anyway and mess up creation? Good question. You can go read volumes of theologians and philosophers debating that. I'll give the super short answer, which you're not supposed to do. But here's the simplest way I understand it, is that you already know this. You can't have real love without free will, right? Real love doesn't come if somebody's paid to or forced to do it. You got to have free will. You got to choose love. And wherever there's free will, there's the free will to choose between good and bad and evil, as we say. And so free will always leads to sin. No matter how many times you try to start things over, if you ever read the book or saw the movie Lord of the Flies, great example. People say, forget this world that's sinful, messed up, we're going to start a whole new society. And guess what happens? Descends into sin because there's free will. So let's talk about the really important thing. What do we do about it? What do we do about it? And I know you don't need another pastor telling you to clean up your act, clean up your language, try to do a few more good deeds. And listen, I always tell people, if you decide to become a Christian, the Christian life is not about just sin avoidance, sin management, keep our sin under control. Sometimes we think it is. Here's what we're really meant to do about it. Just give you 4 quick challenges. First is just be aware of our own brokenness, your own sinfulness. This doesn't mean have low self-esteem and just, I'm just this worthless person. God created you, so you're not. You have incredible value. It's about when I lose touch with my own brokenness, sinfulness, you know what happens? I lose humility. Pride creeps in. I start acting at people that are holier than thou. As Christians get labeled often, it's because they lose touch with their own sinfulness and brokenness. That's why it's important. Stay in touch with my own capacity for evil when I'm not careful. The other is when I do sin, is practicing confession. And remember, confession, again, it's not about beating yourself up. The word really just means to agree with. Like people confess to a crime. They agree that they did it. It's about agreeing with God. You know what? Yeah, God, no more excuses. I did that. I chose it. And then we can have His grace, which comes in tomorrow's talk. But about confessing, and sometimes you got to go confess to somebody else when you purposely hurt them. Next one is taking it seriously. Take it serious. I know the rebellious part. I have it too. Just wants to be like, rules are more suggestions, right? We like to play religious lawyer and find all the loopholes and, what can I get away with? And God won't be too mad. Well, let me take it seriously. And that leads to this 4th one is you got to choose, all right? You got to choose every day and every decision. Are you going to bring more darkness into this world or more light into the world, more hope? You got to choose because, listen, you are going to bring one or the other. We're all bringing one or the other every day, darkness or light into the world. Which will you choose, all right? That's what it comes down to. It's all about relationship, right? And the really good news is coming tomorrow with what we ultimately do about sin, which is redemption.